观众朋友，欢迎回到娱乐漫谈。我们再次的请到的也是 Preston Hom， 他是代表中文投资网。Hey, Preston. When an investor participate on this kind of investment, how can they make money off this kind of money that they spend?
Well, so you need a way to make it liquid, right? So you need a way for off-ramp. And there's basically two main ways right now. And the first one is centralized exchanges. And that's the one that a lot of people are familiar with. So you'd have big ones like, well, in Korea, you have Bithumb, or China, you have like HitBTC or OKX, right?
Oh, yeah.
And then in America, you have like Bittrex, Binance, Bitfinex, and all that stuff. And then the other way is decentralized exchanges, which is basically like, you know, your Ether Delta or your IDEX.
Are they trustful?
That's actually, you don't need to trust anyone. It's peer-to-peer.
Oh.
That's the beauty of it. So
okay.
Exactly. So as you can see, there's problems with decentralized exchanges where you have to leave your funds there. It's kind of like in escrow, right? You have to have the funds ready if you want to make limit buys and limit sells. But decentralized exchanges, they're different because
peer-to-peer.
Exactly.
Directly.
Exactly.
Faster.
And some don't even have, or they don't have order books, right? So you don't know what the price is. So you're trading just between, it's really peer-to-peer. And that makes it more secure because you don't need your funds on an exchange where it can be hacked. So there's two main ways, and I think we're definitely moving towards decentralized exchanges. But if you want to, you know, make money off of these coins, you need to release them on a secondary market. And so far, these are the only two options right now.
I see. Are there any other emerging industries?
Yeah, there's so many, but the main ones that I'm looking at right now are the Internet of Things, security tokens, stable coins, and privacy coins. And not to go into too much detail, but the Internet of Things, as you can know, it's a multi-trillion-dollar business, as it's going to be. You know, and if people aren't familiar with what Internet of Things is, or IoT, it's just basically like
IoT.
Yeah, like appliances or electronics that are connected to internet, or that have internet connectivity. And that's really important to blockchain. There's a lot of use cases for Internet of Things. I'm not going to go into it too much, but the other ones like stable coins, and if people aren't familiar with like Tether, it's like they're digital representations that basically hold the economy together. They're collateralized assets that like help out cryptocurrencies, because when you have Bitcoin, it's too volatile, so you don't really have a good store of value. And it's important that we have stable coins that you know, offset those volatility. Then you have security tokens, which we're kind of moving towards that direction, as you can tell, with initial coin offerings. Because if it walks like a duck, talks like a duck, it's probably as a duck. If initial coin offerings are printed for securities and they're exchanged like securities, what are we going to have? We're going to have security regulations. So we're going to see security tokens in the future, probably in the near future. And then the last one is privacy coins. And privacy coins are important, like Monero and Zcash, because they basically hide people's identities and transaction values, because people don't want to get hacked. Sometimes people just want their privacy, and it's important. And there are people that are scared about whether or not privacy coins will facilitate terrorist transactions, stuff like that. But if you look on the blockchain, you look at the actual use cases for it, you know, more often than not, it's more good than bad. And if someone asked me, well, does blockchain facilitate money laundering? What I have to say is, or cryptocurrencies, does it facilitate money laundering? I'd have to say, well, if blockchain didn't exist, would money laundering still exist? And the short answer is, of course.
Okay. Thank you for letting us know all about these knowledges. Tell us about the regulation, the current regulations of the cryptocurrency market, and also the ICO market right now.
Right. So it's actually, we're in a bear market by paper value standards. So it's a little bit scary. China and Korea are already banned ICOs.
I know.
Right?
Yeah.
But if you look at the coins right now, the really popular ones are Korean and Chinese coins. So it's not that scary.
Really?
Exactly. Yeah. Like if you look at Neo's platform, like you look at all the coins that have released on that platform, they're all booming. So these bans don't really affect us, and that's the whole point of blockchain. They're supposed to be borderless, and it's supposed to be a global issue. Like the SEC can't just stop all the trading volume. Same with like India or China. Like just because you have great economies doesn't mean you're going to stop it. That being said, after the recent Senate banking hearing committee, it was actually pretty bullish. You know, you'd have people like John Clayton versus Christopher Giancarlo talking about this kind of stuff, where it's the SEC versus CFTC. And you have the CFTC pretty much bullish on it. Like, I think recently the CFTC allowed their employees to start trading cryptocurrencies. You know, that's a good sign. And then you also have the G20 summit that just happened, which is, if people don't know, the G20 summit is the top 20 economies that basically control 85% of the world's economy. And it was actually bullish, and they're not going to have much regulation, or they're waiting to pass regulation by the end of July. And they were bullish as well. They don't classify it as currency, but rather as an asset class.
Right, right.
So
okay, you also answered my next questions, but give us some comments on the recent banning on the ads to be on Google, Twitter, Facebook, etc., etc.
Right. So I mean, Google already started banning them. Facebook already started banning them. Twitter started banning them, and then now even MailChimp, which is not as popular. But what's important is because even though those are really big companies, it just actually opens up more new doors for us. And there's already companies that were competing, and it just so happens that, you know, after the whole Cambridge Analytica fiasco with Facebook, that these doors are even wider open now. Now it's even more people are scared about having centralized services that shouldn't really be centralized. Like Facebook, a lot of information goes there. A lot of people get their information from there, but is it really secure? Are we sacrificing our privacy and security?
I think so.
We are, right? But there's a lot of competing ones. Like, not to go into too much detail, but there's like Steam, there's like BitClave, there's a basic attention token, there's props that all are really trying to make a splash in the space that I think these big companies should be afraid about. So if they ban them, it just shows a sign of, you know, scareness.
Right.
I think.
Yeah, I see the equal sign in between. All right, my next question is going to be a big one. What is the outlook from your perspective of the cryptocurrency's future and the ICO market's future?
Well, it's all going to depend on regulation for now, but I think it's bright. I think you can have initial coin offerings and security tokens operating simultaneously. It just depends where your jurisdiction is. But if we do move towards better regulation, we will see that more institutional investors were going to get in. People are going to take this more seriously. It's going to be more mainstream. And it's good, because that's a deal of what we want. We want more adoption. And just because we're not going to have, you know, the Wild West where we have 100 X's and all that stuff, it's a small price to pay for having blockchain and cryptocurrency take the main stage in fintech.
Okay. All right, fintech. Today you also mentioned about the terminology and the trend for the future, which is very good. I think as a Chinese investor like myself and all our audience, we are paying so much attention on our own money growth, and it's an important thing. I know New Coins 168 belongs to the umbrella company of Chinese investment.
Right.
Tell us about that. How can we collect more information, knowledge, and how to prepare ourselves to get into this new market?
Right. So, well, my job there is to, well, first of all, I will have daily articles written, you know, on current events, market health, all that good stuff. I'll also be interviewed every single day, 2 to 5 minutes, about these topics as well. We will also have a weekly newsletter where I would personally, you know, go over certain coins, what's the outlook, short-term outlook, medium outlook, long-term outlook. And then also for our VIP portion, we have a bunch of live streams, and I will have a live stream myself, and that will be 10:30 to 11:30 Eastern, or 7:30 to 8:30 Pacific. And yeah, if you join New Coins 168 and you register, you will get $8.88 worth of Bitcoin.
Wow.
Yeah, so if you want to learn more or you have any questions, also add Warren Wang 2018 on WeChat.
That's a WeChat ID number. Yeah. Okay. Very good to have you.
Okay.
Great. 好，
Appreciate
观众朋友，那希望大家能够加 Warren Wang 2018在 WeChat 账号里面，或者是 register 到这个网站，就是 newcoins168.com， 大家立即可以得到8块8毛8的 Bitcoin 的 token。好的，感谢大家收看这2段节目，休息一下，马上回来，我们还有一段访谈，不要走开。